So what happens when you step into a world where no one looks like you, no one speaks like you, or understands your dreams? I asked myself that question the day I decided to become a lawyer. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aruna Verma, and today I stand before you as the director at the University of Law Moorgate. My journey hasn't been paved with privilege or guidance. I didn't come from a family of lawyers. I had no roadmap, no blueprint, no insider tips. What I had was curiosity, determination, and a belief that boundaries are not barriers. They are doors waiting to be pushed open. So I grew up in a family where law was distant, something you watched on TV, not something that you lived. When I wanted to study law, my family said nothing. Not because they didn't support me, it's because they didn't know how to support me. We had no connections, but my biggest supporter has always been my mother. There were no lawyers in my circle, no one to explain to me what a training contract was or a pupillage, or no one to say to me, here's how you deal with an interview. I remember walking into my first law lecture, feeling like an imposter. Everyone seemed to speak a language that I didn't understand, and all I was trying to do was look for the library. But here's what I discovered. You don't need to know everything. You just need to be willing to learn. So every challenge became a lesson. Every door that closed reminded me to knock louder, and every doubt fueled my resilience. So there was a time when I was aged 14 and I was to return a dress to a shop. I stood outside rehearsing what I'd say. My heart was pounding, my palms were sweating, and I lacked confidence. I knew my legal rights, but I just didn't know how to tell anyone. And there was also a time when I fainted. Yes, I fainted before giving a presentation. The fear of speaking in front of others was so overwhelming that my body just gave in. And now I stand in front of you. So this transformation didn't happen overnight. It happened because I had good people around me. People who believed in me even when I didn't. They said I had this even when I knew I didn't. So my first lesson to you is have good people around you, because no one climbs alone. When I think about my journey, it's not a straight line. It's a series of unexpected turns, doubts, and moments of change. Today, I want to share a few of those moments with you. So in my head, I guess I had it mapped out. I would go to law school, do my training contract, become a lawyer, become a partner of a law firm, and then retire. But this wasn't the path that I was meant to follow. So it first started with my training contract, age 21. I relentlessly applied for jobs, prepared for interviews, as if my life depended on it. And then one day I was invited for an interview. After the interview, I hadn't even got home, and the partner of the law firm called me and said, "We'd like to offer you the job. You're sturdy." That word stayed with me. Sturdy meant resilient. It meant strength. So during my training contract, I had no mentor. I observed, I asked questions, I used my curiosity to learn everything that I could, and that curiosity became my biggest tool. 2 years after qualifying, I saw an advert to teach at the College of Law. I applied without much thought. I was going to see if it was for me. I applied and got the job. Now what? That's when I was matched with my mentor. The person I can say is now my life mentor. That moment changed everything for me. It taught me that guidance matters, but so does courage to seek it. I have many mentors in my life now, and I learn from each one of them. I quite often find myself in boardrooms, meeting rooms, and giving large presentations. And then I think to myself, what am I doing here? And I remind myself, I worked hard to get here. I created these opportunities. I am beyond boundaries, working beyond my dreams. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that it's okay not to know what you want in life. At one point in 2009, I was offered partnership at a law firm. I froze. This is what I always wanted. I'd always dreamed of this. It was a nice, friendly firm, good, varied work, not so much good work-life balance, but hey, within the hour, I turned it down. Despite not even having a go, it wasn't right. It just didn't feel like me. But what was going to feel right, I don't know. I still don't know what I wanted at that stage. But all I knew was that I didn't want to stand still. I continued to teach and came across an internal vacancy for a teaching post in Hong Kong. At the time, I was a program lead, firmly fixed in management. I applied for the job thinking, what could go wrong? Because I'm not going to get it anyway. I'll be fine. I interviewed, and later that afternoon, the Deputy Vice Chancellor called me. I knew I hadn't got the job, and I just didn't want the feedback. I wasn't feeling it. But to my horror, he told me that I got the job. I was in shock. I hadn't even told my family I had applied, let alone tell them that I was going halfway across the world on my own. I told him I would think about it and get back to him. But in my mind, I was thinking, wow, what's going to happen now? In the next breath, the Deputy Vice Chancellor said to me, but it's not the job you applied for. My aim was to demote myself so I could just go out into Hong Kong, teach, and then travel. But the university and the universe had other ideas. We would like you to be the program director. What does that even mean? I thought to myself. It meant I was going to be running the show. There was no blueprint, no certainty, but I tapped into my doubts and turned them into action. So what boundary was I trying to break there? The options are there. They're not always the ones in front of you. I applied for a teaching job and got a management job. It all ended in promotion. And if I didn't have that urge to apply for a teaching post, I would not have got the program director job. So it wasn't what I was thinking about, it was about what the universe was trying to do for me. So I was the first family member in my family and extended family to work abroad. I arrived at my apartment and again thought, what happens now? I told myself to keep moving forward, to keep taking the opportunities. And at the same time, I became the associate professor. So unfortunately, I arrived during a period of protests, which meant I had to stay in the apartment a lot alone. One day I told myself I'm not going to be defeated. I'm going to go out. I ventured out, had a good day, and I was feeling great. On my way back, I was hit with tear gas. Everything went hazy. I was helped into my apartment and decided that I wasn't going to continue. I called the chief of people at the University of Law. She was practical. She told me maybe I wanted to wash my face of the tear gas. I went to another city for a few days, and I realised with the help of the good mentors around me, I wasn't going to give up. I needed to keep walking, and I did. I returned to Moorgate 2 years later, my home campus, and an internal vacancy had been issued for deanship. I thought about it for 2 whole weeks and then applied 2 minutes before. What was my aim? To interview for jobs like this so I can use the interview practice and feedback for the future. Again, this didn't go according to my plan because I ended up getting the job. I sat there with a puzzled face. Me, Aruna, a shy, quiet girl from Hounslow, the dean, the first female Asian dean at the University of Law. I understood that talent isn't just about skill, it's about being in the right place and creating those opportunities. I still remember walking into that dean interview saying, this is bigger than me. This is beyond boundaries. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. This was huge. I regressed to that 5-year-old girl looking ahead and freaking out. So I jumped on a plane and then went for a walk with a friend, telling him that I didn't know what to do with this. I wasn't ready. This wasn't me. What should I do now? He calmly asked me one question. Aruna, what will make you ready? We paused. I looked at him and knew what he meant. There's no manual. There's no guide. I was doing what I always did, and I had to make this my own. I was ready for this. I accepted the role and I stepped beyond my boundaries once again. So here's what I want you to take away. Doubt is not your enemy. It's your compass. There's no perfect map for success, just moments where you choose to move forward. And when you do, you'll find yourself in rooms you never imagined, and maybe even creating rooms for other people. So boundaries are not obstacles, they're opportunities. Every time you cross one, you create a new path for yourself and others. So when I started out, I didn't have any mentors. I didn't even know how to find one. But here's what I learned. Mentors aren't just people who give you answers, they're people who ask you better questions. They challenge your thinking, they open doors. They help you find yourself, not as you are, but as you could be. I fought hard to find mentors and learned to get here. That's why I work hard and tirelessly to make it my mission to help other people. I don't want other people to turn out like, to have to experience what I did, which was having no mentors. So I don't want anyone to go through what I did. So here's the truth. You don't need a formal mentoring program. You just need courage. Courage to ask, can I learn from you? Be curious. People love sharing their journey. Be bold. Send that email. Introduce yourself after a talk. And be generous. Mentorship is a two-way street. Show up with gratitude and a willingness to learn. And when you've gained that experience, be the mentor you needed when you started out. A few more words by which I want to finish. Find your why before you find your how. Passion will keep you going through the hard days. Seek mentors relentlessly. Don't wait for them to find you. Reach out. Develop your soft skills, communication, empathy, resilience. These will set you apart over any statute that you may memorize. Lead beyond boundaries. Diversity of thought is your greatest asset. Embrace it and champion it. So what does going beyond boundaries mean to me? It means refusing to let your circumstances dictate your destiny. It means pushing through your fear, even though you hear those voices saying you can't. Because here's the truth. The future of law and leadership belongs to those who dare to go beyond. And if you're sitting here wondering whether you can, remember this. Boundaries aren't obstacles, they're opportunities. Every time you cross one, you create a new path for yourself and others. Thank you.